it's RJ Ronquillo. I am here checking out the new plugin from Lancaster Audio. It's the Nobels ODR-1 Natural Overdrive. And it's a recreation of the famous Nobels ODR-1 Overdrive Pedal for guitar. And if you're not familiar with this pedal, it's a fan favorite of many session musicians, LA, especially here in Nashville. But for me, I think it kind of reacts a little bit different than other overdrive pedals. And I really think it shines in the low to medium gain spectrum. So what I want to do today is show you how it works and kind of show you how I use it in my workflow. So before I show you how the pedal works, I want to show you how I have it in my Logic setup. I'm a guitar player, so I'm going to treat it as if it were a real hardware pedal. And the way I like to use this pedal is usually in front of a nice clean amp or maybe a little bit of a crunchy amp. And since I'm using Logic as my recording software, Logic comes with some basic amp models. So I just have pulled up Logic's Fendery style amp, and it's set to pretty clean. So what I'll do is I'll place the Nobels Overdrive in front of it or on top of it in the plugin stack. So here's what it sounds like off, just the amp model. And here's how it sounds with it on. So you can see on the top, we have controls for drive, spectrum. Spectrum is kind of like a tone knob, but it doesn't react the same way as like a normal tone knob. Basically at 0, it's kind of flat, but the more you turn up the knob, it actually brings in bass and treble together. So it stays pretty musical. It doesn't get overly bright like some tone knobs on overdrive pedals. Still totally usable. So the drive section, like I said, I think the Nobels ODR-1 really shines in the low to medium gain settings. So as you can see, I've only got it set to like about 1. And I'll show you what it sounds like when I turn it up. All the way up. So you can see it still sounds present even though you crank the drive up all the way. Sometimes overdrive pedals get mushy when you crank the drive, but this one stays nice and present. One of the cool features that are not on a typical pedal is you've got this just simple bass cut button on the left side. So here's what it is with it off. Now here's with the bass cut. Which is great for recording because a lot of times, for me, I'll always cut the bass frequencies in my recorded tracks just because they get a little bit too woofy in the mix. So that's great to have. And then if you go to the little settings wheel here, you'll see that there is a checkbox for tolerance modeling. Now what that is, or my understanding is that when they were producing the actual pedals, a lot of them had differences in, you know, their clipping and the way they sounded. So what this will do is it almost acts like you're getting a different pedal that might have some differences in tolerances and differences in sound. So what you do is you just click it and you can hit randomize and you'll hear the pedal change ever so slightly in the EQ and the clipping. And you'll notice that I didn't change any of the knobs or anything else. It's just kind of randomly picking a different kind of preset, I guess. And clearly you can just shut it off so that doesn't affect the normal pedal. And another cool feature that they've included is this adjustable voltage. So you can emulate like a dying battery. So you can see right now it's at 9 volts, which would be normal operation, right? But I can set it to like maybe like 8 volts. Let's do 8.2. And you can sort of hear that there's a little bit of more clipping going on, a little more gain. So the more you go down in voltage, the more saturated it will sound. And then inversely, you can run these pedals at 18 volts, which is double the voltage. And what that'll give you is more headroom. So I'm going to slowly crank up the voltage and you can hear the differences. You can hear a little bit more headroom, a little wider frequency range, definitely less saturated as when it was at 5 volts. So I think that's really cool to include. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's the new Nobels ODR-1 plugin from Lancaster Audio.